Well, everyone, we have made it to the last Sunday of 2025. Now, I always struggle to know exactly what to post on this day. It's the week between Christmas and New Year's Eve. People are in a bit of a haze, like a whirlwind of holiday cheer. What just happened? It's a little quiet. I hope people are resting, relaxing, recharging before the start of a new year. I always think about it, do I post something new? Do I post a recipe? Do I do something that's kind of out of the ordinary, something I just want to do? Or do I take the week off? If you've been watching my videos in the month of December, you know that I have posted a new party food video every week. Party food is my favorite kind of food. I wanted some joy in my life for the whole month of December, so that's what I did. That helped me decide. What to do. So today I am pulling out some recipes from previous videos. So I have 6 favorites for you. Recipes for party food, for appetizers that I have tried from past videos. Some of you are new to my channel. I have gained about 10,000 subscribers this year. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you to my entire audience for watching my videos week after week. I reached 60,000 subscribers on New Year's Eve of 2024, and just a couple of weeks ago, I made it to 70,000. So wow, there's 10,000 new faces here. Some of you have missed these past videos, so I thought, let's share a few of these again, and let's give you even more ideas for delicious, fun holiday party food. Maybe for New Year's Eve if you're going to a party. The next holiday appetizer that I'm going to be putting together is Rumaki. It was a very common appetizer in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and it usually included water chestnuts, chicken livers, bacon, and then a sauce. The version that I am making is much simpler. Again, 3 ingredients. We have bacon, we have barbecue sauce, and we have canned whole water chestnuts. This is the one that I grew up with, and it is super delicious and super simple. So I've preheated my oven to 375 degrees. Gotta open up my bacon. I opted for some lower sodium bacon, and I also went kind of like thin bacon. I personally prefer, in general, thinner bacon to thicker bacon. I think I'm gonna make these little, and that means cutting the bacon into pieces. Maybe if I do like thirds. Let's go thirds. So I've got my little pieces of bacon and then water chestnut. I remember assembling stuff like this with my mom, like what felt like hundreds of these things. So I've got my little water chestnut packet, and I have some just round toothpicks here, and I'm gonna spear it so everything stays the way it needs to. I'm cooking these on a sheet pan with a rack on top. We definitely didn't do this when I was growing up, but I don't know. I thought maybe it would aid in the crisping of everything. So let's do it again. You're making like cute little packets of water chestnut and bacon. I remember these being really, really special. This was like either the family Christmas party, like the big potluck one, or sometimes like a New Year's Eve thing, because I mean, this is peak fanciness, isn't it? Oh my gosh, this is very special food to me. So I'm gonna go ahead and just like assemble the rest of these, and then we'll move on to the next. So I've assembled my delicious little bundles. I probably used about half a pound of bacon for 1 8-ounce can of water chestnuts. And now I have just some bottled barbecue sauce, and I'm gonna brush these with the sauce. Just use what you want. I don't know, this is like probably too much sauce, but we'll see. Use your favorite kind. I don't remember these having like a ton on them. So my mom and I would assemble quite a few of these. I remember like we had an electric skillet. I don't have an electric skillet anymore, but boy, did we use it a lot back then to keep them warm, for the party, for the potluck, for whatever. And people just loved these things. I've got all of these brushed with a little bit of the sauce. So I preheated my oven to 375. I'm thinking 30 to 40 minutes on these. Rest assured, I will let you know exactly what I do in the description down below. So caramelized, so beautiful. I'm very excited. I ended up cooking these in the oven, 375 degrees for 35 minutes. At 15 minutes in, I did brush a little bit of additional sauce on these, just very carefully, so that they would get nice and, browned and caramelized and stuff. Delicious, exactly as I remember it. So 3 ingredients equal this delicious and super easy appetizer. Today I'm going to be preparing chili quiche squares. Heat oven to 375, done. Grease a square pan, also done. I have a 4-ounce can of chopped green chilies here that I have to drain. We start by sprinkling these chilies in the pan. Try to evenly distribute them. Next comes the cheese. I have 2 cups of grated cheddar cheese. It said you could use cheddar cheese or Monterey Jack cheese. So sprinkle that on top of the chilies. This is gonna be nice and cheesy. Set that aside as we move on to mix up the rest of our ingredients. 1 cup of Bisquick, and 1 cup of half and half, 4 large eggs. Lastly, it says 1/8 of a teaspoon of hot pepper sauce. I'm not gonna bother to measure that. I think that is kind of to taste. So we'll just put a few dashes in. Pour this mixture into that pan. I'm interested to see how this works out. If this is gonna be like a Bisquick Impossible quiche. You've probably heard of Bisquick Impossible pies. Those are really cool. You mix everything together, pour them into a pie dish, and then the Bisquick kind of settles at the bottom and makes its own crusts. Everything is in here. I'm gonna bake this for 30 minutes at 375 degrees. This took exactly 30 minutes to bake. You can tell it's done when you insert a knife into the middle and it comes out clean. I let this cool for 10 minutes as directed in the recipe, and it came out very cleanly as well. You can see that I cut a little piece. That is pretty good, but you know what's coming. It needs more seasoning. This really could use maybe just a little pinch of salt. You could maybe include a selection of hot sauces. I think that would be a lot of fun, just so people can dress it up a little bit on their own. But I found this recipe from Maryland's Queso. It really spoke to me because it only makes 2 cups. And I'm gonna get even a little bit more experimental with it. I'm gonna cut it in half and try to make 1 cup of queso. And I'm gonna try to make this in my little dipper. Place the first 5 ingredients in a slow cooker and add water. Chopped green pepper, half a tablespoon of chopped onions, a tablespoon of diced tomatoes, 1 teaspoon of chopped jalapenos. And I chopped all of this really fine. Maryland also included an ingredient that you may know is not my favorite, chopped celery. So here's what I'm gonna do. I have some celery flakes, and when a recipe calls for just a little celery and I don't wanna buy it because I know I'm not gonna eat it, I use a little bit of that. So I'm just gonna sprinkle some in my hand. I've never made queso with celery in it, but let's honor Maryland here. Let's see. I'm just gonna add that. I used a very tiny amount. I'm gonna add a 1/4 cup of water to that because remember, I am cutting this recipe in half. I'm gonna cover this and plug it in. I stepped away for probably closer to 1 hour and 45 minutes, but I think this worked. That's what the veggies look like after about 1 hour and 45 minutes. I really wanted to make this particular recipe because of the small quantity. It seems like every other queso dip in this book makes 12 servings and many cups and quarts and things like that. If you're having a party or something, yes, by all means, make the big batch of queso. Sometimes I just want a little bit. Maybe it's just me and my husband for a movie night or something. Maybe I just want to have a little me party and have enough for myself, right? Stir in cream and cheeses. So I have 3 ounces of heavy cream going on in. You don't drain the vegetables, by the way. In addition to the heavy cream, I have 4 ounces of Velveeta. And then I have 1 ounce of finely shredded cheddar cheese. This is medium cheddar. We just buy that giant block of Tillamook cheddar cheese at Costco. I'm gonna cover this. It just says, reduce heat to low. It's already low. Cook until cheese is melted. So it doesn't give a time. I just basically need to cover this and let all that cheese melt, and then it's time to give it a taste. It's been about 45 minutes since I put the cream and the cheeses into my little dipper, and this is what we have now. Let's take the lid off. Looking smooth, but let's do a stir test. Yeah. Okay, I think it's all melted. I'm just gonna try it right out of this little dipper. Yeah, it's looking very smooth. It's not spicy, but it's delicious. I gotta say, it made a nice little quantity, and it's a very nice consistency. Next up, I'm making snack squares. I went ahead and I baked my crust a little ahead of time because it needed some time to cool. The crust is probably pretty obviously refrigerated crescent rolls, and I'm cutting this recipe in half. So normally you would need 1 8-ounce container of refrigerated crescent rolls. I have been able to find these small 4-ounce cans, and that is really great for someone with a small household. So I popped the container open to the best of my ability and separated the crescent rolls into 2 rectangles. I put these on a small ungreased sheet pan, and I started to sort of pinch the perforations together. And then I went ahead and baked this and let it cool. And that's what we have here. Perfectly sized for what I am doing. The recipe says to bake the crust for 15 to 20 minutes. I thought that's way too long. So I actually went as directed on the can, and I baked this for 12 minutes, and it's nice and golden brown. So it's time to make the topping. It says combine remaining ingredients, mixing until well blended. An 8-ounce container of soft cream cheese spread. And then 3 strips of cooked and crumbled bacon. And some grated Parmesan cheese. As I said, I'm cutting this recipe in half, but I will have the full recipe in the description down below, as I always do. And then I have some green onion. What a fantastic combination we have here. All my ingredients are in there, and I'm gonna just mix these up with a hand mixer. You could probably, this is very soft, you could probably do this with a spatula or a spoon. I already had my hand mixer out. This is kind of reminding me of a really popular like appetizer / party snack. Like it always showed up at like baby showers, bridal showers, you know, any occasion like that. It's a crust of crescent rolls like this, softened cream cheese, and you mix it with ranch dressing seasoning or powder, and spread that on the crust, and then you top it with a little bit of shredded cheese and lots of cold vegetables. Oh my gosh. That is so nostalgic for me. I still love it. There's a grocery store here that, you know, makes it, and you can buy like 1 small piece of it so that I don't have to make an entire batch of vegetable pizza. It just says that you cut and eat this. I think I'm gonna chill this for maybe, I don't know, 15 minutes just to see if it'll harden up. I feel like the cream cheese is just so soft that I think it will cut easier if I do chill it. So I'll be back in a little bit. You can really smell the bacon and chives. Very good combination. Really delicious. Oh my gosh. I'm very glad that I cut these small because these are super rich. They're delicious, but they are kind of like a heavier, more rich like appetizer. But there's a nice crunch in there from the bacon that I didn't expect. And those really crisp green onions. I love a spinach pie, so I thought I would try these easy Crescent spinach pies. In medium skillet, cook onion in oil until tender. And to my olive oil, I have 1/4 cup of chopped onion. I'm gonna cook this until the onion is tender. Cooked into that, I'm adding 5 ounces of frozen spinach that I have thawed and drained very thoroughly. I pressed this through a sieve to squeeze out as much of the moisture as I possibly could. The heat is actually no longer on with this. So I'm gonna mix my spinach and onion. I gave my spinach mixture just a couple of minutes to cool down. To that, I'm gonna be adding some crumbled feta. You can also use ricotta, but I had some feta on hand. And when I've eaten spinach pie, I think usually it is feta. Do whichever one that you like. A pinch of garlic powder and a pinch of pepper. It smells really good, mostly because when you saute onion in olive oil, it smells good. It's like if you want people to think you can cook, do that, and they'll be like, wow, what are you making? I have a beaten egg here. I'm gonna add half of this egg because I am cutting the recipe in half. The recipe actually requires a second beaten egg to brush the tops of the pies, so I'm gonna use half in the filling and then I'll use the other half to brush the pies before I bake them. So this is the filling, it's all completed. So now I need to grab a tube of crescent roll dough. Because I am cutting this recipe in half, I only need 1 tube of 8 crescent rolls. If you're gonna make the full recipe, you will need 2 of these. Interestingly enough, it says air fryer ready on the packaging. I didn't know you could make these in the air fryer. So you already know, possibly, that I am refrigerated dough scaredy cat. Sometimes, you know, if it gets too warm, it pops like very violently. I put this in the fridge until the very last second. So I don't think it's gonna do that. I will need to probably, it says press spoon at seam until can pops open. I'm just gonna give it a thwack on the counter. And there you are, not scary at all. Let's take this out. Now I need to form these a certain way. Separate dough into 8 rectangles. Well, 4 rectangles. Press or roll each rectangle into an 8 by 4 inch okay, we're 8 by 4. 8 inches by 4 inches. Cut each half. Okay, there we are. To form 8 squares in this case. So 4 rectangles. We got them. Almost. Take these perforations and just kind of pinch them and press them until they seal. We don't want triangles. So what size do they end up as when I just pinch them? They are 6 by almost 4. So really I just have to go like more this way. I'm gonna get a rolling pin. I don't want to knock this bowl over. You know, this could get crazy. So we're gonna roll. I'm gonna flip. It did need to come out a little like on the sides. It was almost 4 inches, but not quite. How wide? Oh yeah, we're just over 4. We're just over 4. And we're about 7.5, so I need to go longer. The shapes, they are not going to be perfect, are they? But I think they're gonna taste pretty good. All right, we're at 8. We're at 8. It's a little bit of a wonky 8, but we got there. Cut each rectangle in half crosswise. So we're going to squares. We're going to squares. Okay, so we're gonna mark that at 4, and I'm gonna cut it like that. So then we have 2 wonky squares. Place about a tablespoon of spinach mixture on the center of each square. I'm gonna get my spatula here too, just to help me out, because I don't wanna put too much and then not have enough filling at the end. Okay. Form dough over filling, forming a triangle. So we're forming a triangle. It seems like that is a lot of dough. Again, the shapes ended up a little wonky, but it's okay. It's the holidays. Press edges with fork to seal. So I have a fork. I'm gonna go ahead and fold this other one. Press the edges. It's funny because in the photo, it really does not look like the edges are pressed at all. So that's what mine ended up looking like, pre-bake. Brush with beaten egg and sprinkle with sesame seeds if desired. Okay. I'm gonna brush these with just a little bit of the beaten egg I had earlier. The half of a beaten egg, I guess. Brush, brush, brush. And I do have sesame seeds here. I thought they looked kind of nice in the photo, so I am gonna add those. But it is optional. You don't have to do this part if you don't want to. So then I have to place these on an ungreased baking sheet. So I just have like my regular little aluminum baking sheet here. I just wanted to do a couple on camera, but I won't make you watch me do all of them. So I will finish prepping these. All right, before they go into the oven, I wanted to show you what the full tray looks like. So now I'm gonna bake these at 375. I'm gonna start with 10 minutes and see how far they get. We may go up to the full 15. I am actually so pleased with how lovely and browned these got. They smell really good and I can't wait to try them. Oh my gosh, I did let them cool for maybe like 10, 12 minutes. I had to take a thumbnail, all that stuff. They're good. They're good. Let me get a little bit of a bigger bite of the filling. Pretty tasty. There's a couple things I would probably add to this. I think it needs a little citrus, maybe a little lemon juice. I think it could use more garlic for sure. Don't be afraid of the garlic. I'd go like cook some actual garlic in there or do like a little garlic salt or something like that. But overall, I think they are tasty, and this is a really good jumping off point for other types of appetizers. You could do a spinach filling, but you could come up with other types of fillings for this too, like a meat and vegetable filling or even, I think it could be interesting to make some sort of like sloppy Joe filling and put them in here. The first recipe I wanted to try from this book was for a savory cream cheese spread. I thought it would make a nice little afternoon snack. And the reason I chose this recipe is because it kind of reminds me of something that was a little bit of a trend last year from my understanding. If I'm following a trend, it's probably by accident. It was for this cream cheese and olive sandwich. I believe it was a vintage recipe that got picked up and like people started making it on TikTok, maybe. I totally know what I'm talking about. Anyway, this is more of just like a spread that you would eat on crackers. And it sounds really good to me because I love olives. I love green olives, I love black olives, whatever kind. The recipe starts with very soft cream cheese, 3 ounces. Another interesting thing about this recipe, I thought, is that it starts with a base recipe or a key recipe, and then you can add different things to it to turn it into a slightly different spread. So I'm gonna show you where that recipe stops and then the other things that you can add to it. So I've got my cream cheese and it says to add just enough milk to make this spreadable. So this is pretty not precise. There's not a lot of measurements in this part of the recipe. Actually, I am gonna get a fork. You could also do this with an electric hand mixer, but who has the time right now? I don't. That looks very spreadable to me. I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna go with it. So what did I end up adding? Like maybe a tablespoon? Something like that, a tablespoon of milk. Season to taste with salt. Got a little pinch of salt and then some freshly ground pepper. Paprika, again, no measurements given. Ooh, that does not have a sprinkler thing on it. One moment. I definitely almost dumped a lot of paprika in there just now because I thought it had a little shaker top and it didn't. Do just a little more. This is, I think, sweet paprika that I chose. Yeah, this one's sweet. And some lemon juice. I don't know if I'm gonna do all of that. We'll just do a couple of drops. And then it gives options. It says you could use onion juice or minced chives. I have some chives in a pot outside my back door. I do not have onion juice in a pot outside my back door. So that's actually the end of the recipe for your basic just cream cheese spread. But in order to turn it into a savory cream cheese spread, you can add half a teaspoon of Lea and Perrins. And my favorite part, a couple of tablespoons of chopped green olives. Smells briny. I think this is probably gonna taste its best if I leave it in the fridge. But also I really wanna try it like immediately, so I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna try it right now. I'll try it again later and let you know, but it looks very tempting. Right, I have a cracker here, just scoop it. We'll scoop it. If you like olives, this is definitely for you, which means it's definitely for me. I think I'm gonna try it on a Ritz cracker later. I used the like Mary's Gone crackers, like very seedy crackers, but I think it would be great on like a nice buttery round kind of cracker. So that's gonna be for my second taste test, but my first taste test went pretty well, I'd say. How cute are these? They're sliding all over. Not gonna tip it too much. Here, I'll hold one up. I put just, you know, a cute little slice of green olive on there because I had to make them cute, right? Very excited. I'm so sorry for all of my olive haters out there, but I think this is so good. This is a very good, easy cream cheese spread. I like that it doesn't make a ton. I mean, you can of course double the recipe. I would kind of like to put this on little toast rounds too. It's very good on the Ritz crackers though. I think it makes an excellent little sneaky, cute little afternoon snack for sure. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed a look back at these 6 recipes. Not all of them were in party food videos. That was another reason I wanted to share them again with you. So I'll end this video here, wishing you a happy new year, and I will see you again next Sunday, the first Sunday of 2026.